Please help me welcome our next presenter, who's trying to bridge the gap between traditional and modern social relations, Sarah Lenz.
Well, thanks so much for having me here. I think I want to move to Vegas after hearing all this, so I'm just going to sell my husband on it, which shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, it won't be hard at all. Maybe grandparents can be hard on. I have to say, and I'm not just saying this, and I'm extremely humbled to be up here today. I think of 2.5 years ago, I was director of communications at a tiny little community college in the Chicago suburbs, and now sharing the stage with people that I look up to is just, it's pretty awe-inspiring and really cool. And I want to say thank you to David and Jennifer Goss for bringing me here and to be part of Tracky. I think what I'm here to talk to you about is really how I can be a living case study of what Tracky does and how to use that in my life, and then and just about how social has impacted my life, and maybe getting to what Paige said. I realized that one of my weaknesses right now is because I do so much in the social space that I lack some of that face-to-face, and I realize how much I actually miss it when I'm here and around people, and the energy. You can't make that energy happen in front of your computer. This is it's almost addicting, and it re-energizes you and connects you back to why you do what you do. So I said I was director of communications at a community college, and I prior to that worked for the largest healthcare system in Illinois in communications and government relations, and had some PR agency work. And I've always been interested in technology, and in fact I wrote my first computer program in 6th grade. It was the Al Capone quiz game, which won some state awards. Pretty cool. But I always wanted to use technology, whatever it was that I was doing, and figure out how does technology influence how we can communicate and how we can work together. And when all was said and done, I essentially worked myself out of a job. I was so interested in social and tech and the influence that working for nonprofits really wasn't the best fit for me. I always wanted to kind of have that do-gooder spirit, wanted to help a cause, but when we tried to move too fast, too quickly, many times those nonprofits weren't ready. So because I couldn't use what I was learning in my day job, I started blogging, I started tweeting, I started using Facebook as an outlet to talk about what I was really passionate about. It just so happened a few people started reading those outlets and contributing and talking back with me, and over time, started getting phone calls asking if they could hire me. Can you come out and speak? And when your nighttime job starts to outweigh your day job, and you can make more money doing that, it's a pretty nice feeling. So I was able to leave that job and start a business. And what really helped was, I think it was a motivational speaker I saw a while back, and she said, the best time to build a network is when you don't need one. And that was so powerful to me because that's how I viewed my social network use. I also I don't think I could have ever met all of the people I've connected with online in such a short amount of time as I did using social networks. And that's one that has been a really powerful and important use for me, and that is how I like to view the community that I build online. But there's a lot happening online. Twitter just celebrated its 6th birthday. I think they say something like 340 million tweets a minute. They have 140 million users. Justin Bieber just got 1 million followers on Instagram. He's the first one to reach that, and I know you're all big believers in here. But the stats are just overwhelming of how much time people actually spend online. I'm not saying that's a good or a bad thing, but people are there using this information. And because I know someone's always online, as a new mom, I know at 2 o'clock a.m. when I'm up for a feeding that I have someone I can communicate with. I know that 10 a.m. the next day, there are going to be people there. But I myself have lost kind of a sense of balance in what to do with all of that, not necessarily power, but all of that ability to connect online. So I've got email, I've got Twitter, I've got Facebook, I've got my blog, I've got text messages, I've got phone calls. It is not uncommon for one of my very close real-life friends to send me a Facebook message. We'll continue the conversation on text. I might get a phone call, and then we'll FaceTime or Skype. And that's just with a really close personal relationship. So when you start to balance all of those things and the tasks that come through emails, it is overwhelming. And because I blog and get pitched and also write, I've lost some of some of the ability to do it as effectively as I want. And so when David and Jennifer started talking to me about Tracky, my ears really perked up because I thought anything that can help me collaborate better or work more efficiently is great. But the best part was I can use it as part of a way to better manage or communicate or interact with the community. And that's what excited me even more. And I said that I have a nonprofit background and I like to do some of these social good causes. But I've noticed over the past year or so I've kind of dropped off of that. And I know that the direct correlation is because there wasn't a good way to manage it. Or when something became really successful, I worked with the local crisis center, and in 3 weeks we raised $160,000 to help them from closing their doors. But what happened afterward was every small nonprofit director started contacting me, can you recreate this for me? Can we do this? Can we do this? And I realized that in doing this one thing, I kept telling them, well, I don't know if we can exactly recreate it. It was messaging, it was urgent, they really needed us. I donated my online profiles, but if I had a resource like Tracky at the time, I could have documented each step of the way as a task. I could have created a track on how we actually executed that and then invited people in so that they could take it and use it and implement it almost real time. Instead of creating Word documents, writing blog posts, pitching the story, it's really broken up, and then to have the time to put aside to dedicate 1, 2, 3 hours to each of those people just isn't feasible when I actually have to work and make a living as well. So that's one way I can really see my life being better by that. I also run a Twitter chat every Monday night for journalists, PR folks, and bloggers. It's called Journ Chat. And really it started because I found most journalists, most bloggers, most PR people I was interacting with all had the same questions. And guess what we were all doing on all of our social networks? We were asking the same questions. And so I thought, wouldn't it be more powerful to pull all of our voices together, ask those questions together, and get answers and crowdsource and just help one another in a neutral place where no one's pitching one another, but we're just there to learn. It takes place on Twitter every week, and if any of you are active on that network, you may realize it's not the best place for conversation. Yet that's the platform of choice because that's where the most people were at. So we're constant, and we meet every week for an hour. It used to be 3 hours, but now I'm a new mom, and so I just don't have that time at all. In fact, my son's already learned how to tweet at 7.5 months. He really did. He sent out his first tweet, and it was an @ sign, so I'm pretty sure he's a genius. So we've got this space where we're learning, but people will constantly send tweets for ideas on themes or topics, or they'll send me an email, or they'll send me a text. So again, I'm getting back into multiple platforms with dialogue coming through. So I could create a track for that and invite those people in. So in advance, we can do this more thoughtful and planning around the content. I'm also tweeting out articles. And these are busy professionals also. They don't always have time to read everything and be up to date. So in those same tracks, we can collaborate and post articles that we're going to reference in the chat so people can read at their own leisure. I also got sponsors for those because I have to monetize what I'm doing online. I've got to put food on the table, right? So it might be a more organic way to encourage people who sponsor the chat to engage with people who are participating, because most of the sponsors offer tools that apply to the audience. So there are really practical applications for that. And then one of the things I'm most passionate about right now, for the past couple of years, I had a blog. It was purely about PR and social media. But when people would ask me if I blogged, I'd say, not really, but I did. And one of my brainstorms during one of those 2 or 3 a.m. feedings, I think you could play a drinking game on how many times I mentioned my son during this. It was, I want to create a blog where I'm writing from a voice where I'm writing to my mother, because she's my go-to. I have to figure out if my mom can do it, then most everyone should be able to do it. Talking about tech and social media and all the cool tools that are out there, but in a much more personal sense. You've got your Mashables, your TechCrunch, the Next Webs, but I wanted to make it personal again. Somewhere where someone can have a dialogue with me and I can say, here's a product or platform or application or what have you that I personally recommend. I've tried it, I've used it, I really like it. And let people interact and share their feedback around it and really make social blogging, tech blogging extremely personal again. Because I do this, it is my hobby, it is not a paid venture. I rely on other people to also help me pitch products that they're actually using. I'm not talking about PR people pitching products, but people who say, this made my life easier this week. Maybe you should write about it to give it a little more prominence or give it some publicity. So I would love to create a track and a place where people can actually collaborate around that. So I can create content on that blog, but then the behind-the-scenes chatter could also be extremely powerful, where people are recommending to one another things that have worked, and then I can pick and choose from the top recommendations in that and share that content forward. I know that there are so many uses for it, but I want to show this because I'm actually in a place in my life where I need this, and I can implement it, and so I can be this case study of watching it all come to life. I'm sure, I hope that I'm not alone in the room of the only person who has this issue. And we've heard a lot in the video and our speakers talk about these amazing communities that happen, and these communities only come to life because people are away from their mobile devices, away from their computers, and getting together, taking the time to build community. And I personally want more of that in my life. I'm in the Chicago suburbs, so getting downtown Chicago can take anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. So it's an all-day trip, it's a venture, and I want to find a place where I can be with people and interact. And I love what Vegas has done. And so I'm not joking when I say I want to look to come out here. I think Tracky is... it's going to be a game changer. I wouldn't put my own name behind it. In fact, we launched a giveaway on my blog. If you haven't entered, there's still time. We're giving away an iPad, a new iPad. And it must have been the right timing, the right product in the right place, because we've had something like 3,000 entries. But there's been a community backing this giveaway. They're so excited, but I think they're also excited about the product. I mean, who doesn't want a new iPad, right? Unless you don't. But there's a community behind it. They're excited, and they're watching what people like myself. I'm not alone in this, making the blogging personal again. They're listening to people like us for recommendations and products, and we don't want to mislead them. We want to give products that really have a lifespan, that really will make your life better. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to be a part of this, and extremely honored to be here with you today. So I hope to chat with many of you after. And Paige will give you a call about using your house. And we can want to vacation. Thank you very much.